What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, just welcome. My name is Gemma Jade, but today we are already going to be discussing Listener Encounters Volume 5. Yay! So, I am about to also film the paranormal world of Jason Zorn and the paranormal world of Deb B. If you want your own full video, send me at least 3, at most 5 or more. I mean, I could do a series just on you. Send me enough content to fill at least 20 minutes is what I'm trying to say, and I'll give you your own paranormal video. It just kind of worked out that way because Jason and Deb have sent me so many. I might include one from each of them in this one as well, depending on how long the other ones are. So with all that being said, I absolutely love this. Let's just jump right in. Our first encounter comes from Christian, and it's called Daycare Guardian. Hi Gemma, I recently discovered your channel and I enjoy the content. My name is Christian. I wanted to send you a story about the daycare I work at. Just for context, it's a 5-bedroom house converted to a daycare. For my boss's privacy, I won't be using the name of the daycare or her name. Totally understandable, Christian. I've worked at the same daycare for about the past 4 years. My first year there, I admit, had me kind of scared originally, but now, in an odd way, it all seems kind of normal. My first day, one of the kids named Emily, she was 4 years old, began talking about her big brother. I, at the time, just thought, aw, she must admire her big brother a lot. I later talked to her parents when they picked her up that day. To say I was a bit shocked would have been an understatement when they told me Emily was an only child. I passed it off as an imaginary friend from an imaginative and possibly lonely little girl. As time went on, it turned to winter and I'd forgotten about Emily's big brother. One day, Joey, a 6-year-old, and Emma, his little sister, age 5, came and told me the toy room was freezing. I went in and it was noticeably colder compared to the rest of the daycare. I checked the vent to see if it was blocked. It was still blowing out hot air, so that wasn't it. None of the windows were opened, and I had no idea. I went to the kids and told them to stay out of the toy room till we figure out what had happened. Miss Rachel, I'll call her. She and a handyman went in to check and told me the room was warm like the rest of the building, and they were as perplexed as I was. Part of my job is checking on the babies. We have a room sectioned for pretty much any need a baby may have. Diaper change table with extra diapers and wipes, cribs for naps, and even bottle warmers. Sometimes I'd look in and one of them would be giggling up a storm or babbling and no one was in there. One day I checked on little Lucas. He was fussing, so I picked him up to try and comfort him. I slipped on something and fell back. I wrapped Lucas up and braced for the pain. Then I was caught mid-fall. There was no one else in the room. I was caught and lifted back to my feet. Then I heard humming like a lullaby. I took Lucas and booked it to Miss Rachel and told her everything. I was shocked when she just smiled and acted like it was normal. She told me it was Joey. The what the hell must have shown on my face, and she explained that Joey was a longtime employee who all of the kids affectionately named Big Brother. He sadly died in a car accident a year prior to my being hired. She explained the kids can see and interact with him, and they do too, being so young and pure. She told of her own experiences. The rocking chair Joey read to the kids in would rock on its own. If she needed something but forgot where it was, she'd turn around and it would be behind her. She also heard about new kids who never met Joey talking about having a big brother. Sorry for it being a bit long and not scary, but I'm actually happy. My first brush with the spirit world was such a good one. Christian, the encounters don't have to be long and they don't have to be scary. It is a little creepy whenever, to some people, it's a little creepy whenever there's spirit around. And I'm also really glad that your first encounter with the paranormal was good as well. A lot of us don't have that luxury. Right now, I'm dealing with an imaginary friend situation with my 3-year-old, and I'm wondering the same thing. Is this an imaginary friend situation, or is this something else? Because he used to see an entity called Man who used to tease him, and now it's his friend. So I'm not sure. I'll keep you guys posted on that. Christian, thank you so much for sending this in. If you have anything else, please don't hesitate to contact me at the same exact email, and we'll get you in another video or just talk privately. Thanks again. Our next encounter is called Union Cemetery Story. Hi Gemma, my name is Eric. In 1994, the Warrens came to my college at Eastern Connecticut State. They did a seminar and showed video and pictures of Lorraine with orbs in the cemetery with people taking pictures. Ed took video of the white lady who many had had encounters with. So my roommate and 4 other friends decided to take a 45-minute drive to Eastern to Union Cemetery. It was 11 p.m. and back then you could go there without any police or issues. So it's a piece of road of the main highway strip surrounded by houses to the one side. The road is tiny and you can turn around from the back area. So we went through the whole cemetery. Nothing was seen, nothing was heard. So we walked back towards the road in the car, completely disappointed, when all of a sudden we heard a girl scream so loud it could have pierced our souls. The hair on the back of my neck stood up like it is now while I'm telling you this, and we all ran like little children to the car. My roommate said, "No way, we came here to see something." So we walked up a gravel path in the front, which is now paved over. Some of us were smoking, and I asked what time it was, and someone said 1 a.m., and then I turned my head. So I turned my head, and I got that buzz across the forehead, like right before some paranormal thing comes into play, and I heard footsteps heading towards me. I saw a bright white orb go behind my roommate who was in front of me. It went through the back of his head and then came out and went through my forehead and did the same to the other 2 in a snake-like way. It ended by going through the last guy who was smoking and it popped out of his forehead. He instantly dropped his cigarette and we all left together, slowly in unison. We went back to the car and no one said a word about what had happened. Loud music was played to cover up what we had all experienced. Later, back in our dorm, my roommate said, "Eric, I know what we all saw, and that orb went right through all of our heads, and no one even wants to talk about it." That was the last time it was ever mentioned. I did not get any pictures, but that orb going right through my head and my friends, it was done for a reason, I believe. Maybe to scan us or see our true selves. Great experience nonetheless. And I have to say, this was sent in 2 different parts, because Eric goes on to say, "Sorry I sent it unfinished by mistake," meaning the first part. "I'm having so many problems writing this, something doesn't want me to." And I believe that that can happen. I'm not really sure what it is. Maybe it was just a spirit, like you said, scanning you guys, seeing if it wanted to follow one of you guys. I would be interested to know if any of you have had recurring nightmares or recurring paranormal activity since this had happened. I know it happened in 1994. Ed and Lorraine Warren were definitely there, so who knows if they had an attachment, although I'm sure that they would probably be able to make sure they don't leave anything with them that follow them. I don't know, an orb going through people's heads and backs, that sounds really scary to me. Orbs go through people all the time, but it's just the way that I can picture it going through, and it gives me the creeps. Definitely don't envy that experience either, and I don't do well with cemeteries. Because of seeing full-bodied apparitions, I don't do very well in cemeteries at all. And I also don't do well at funerals, like in funeral homes. No. Thank you for sharing that, Eric. I really appreciate it. And if you ever have any other encounters with the supernatural and or paranormal, send them this way and we'll get you in another video. So thank you, Eric. Yay! Our next listener encounter comes from my friend Chucky Chuck, and this is the second one he sent me, but I decided to put this one in because I can't find the first one. It's called Story Time. Hey, what's up? So round 2. Dude, it would be so badass if I could get on with you somehow, because this is a lot to tell. But man, like, you have no idea how happy I'd be and how much I need something positive at the moment. But I died at birth. I just came out like that. I don't know if that's relevant, but I've been told by a shaman and healers, etc., that I have a gift, a powerful one. Anyway, I've always been into this paranormal stuff. My lifeblood and I just effing know things. It's weird, but it's my normal. Totally feel you there. When I was 17, before drugs or anything, but this is connected, I'll explain later, but I'd love to be in a recovery story also. It's a crazy one. I read anything I could find and went seeking knowledge about paranormal experiences. I have had a great deal of them, but I heard about this book that I don't like to mention the name and was told not to read it unless you were knowledgeable. Well, I found it and couldn't help it. I read this damn book, supposed to open doorways, bring the invisible into visibility. Be careful, Gemma. So I didn't just read it, I kind of obsessed over it. It wasn't long before it started. I felt my whole conscious shift overnight, really. I began just seeing 333 everywhere. I think I partially summoned an Archon. I woke to it, clocks on the clock, as the microwave was stopped 3 minutes and 33 seconds. I woke one night and decided to listen to C2CAM and practice guitar, and of course it was 3:33. I slid the coffee pot across the dry counter, and the sound it made was, "We're here." I swear, I wish I was lying. I saw myself standing behind myself shaving one day, and I had pits where my eyes should be. It was effing traumatizing. No one knew how to help. Before the cell phone and Google era, really, and my close friends told me they felt it or saw it behind me at times as a large black shadow. It wouldn't let me around. I knew about the shadow man, hat man, shimmering entity. I'd seen them all. I have a shadow attachment, peeks from behind the walls, flees when I see him. I thought even he may be a future version of me, not wanting to be seen. I've heard high-pitched whistles, no S, almost like a dog. Every time I tell this, stuff starts happening. I had a big argument with my buddy's dad, and he died at 3:33 that same night. I could not and would not make this S up. I would go to this haunted mansion and things would follow me and go nuts. Okay, whole other story. Well, needless to say, I ended up burning the book. About 66 months later, I saw another one, an unabridged version, and I couldn't resist. Like an addiction, I read it, and I kid you not, the extra 45 pages or so, 2 of which I'll disclose so you know I'm for real, were about the others, pushing to get the book. The public were effing haunted by it. This 333 and synchronicity stuff, and horrible stuff happens to them. This is kind of off topic, and not a lot of people know this stuff. Well, I catch an episode of This Clowns on Ghost Adventures, and they are playing with this book like it's a joke as the show is ending. I can hear one of the guys talking out the Bizzard 333 stuff he keeps saying. It's dangerous. People may think it's a joke. It's a really ancient book of the rights that Crowley, John Dee, Jack Parsons, all of them used it. Beetlejuice from the movies, well, Tim Burton took him from the book as well. The Zuli god in Ghostbusters on top of the building. Yep, same thing. The slave driving underground cult in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Yep, they're worshiping the ancient ones from this book, and it's contagious. The other night, as soon as I sent it, my phone slid off the table and cracked. My girlfriend broke up with me over the phone on my vacation. I got locked out of my stock account, bank overdrawn, then you deleted it on accident, meaning this story. Even right now, I'm having a hard time. I was reading on invisible entities, effing you, your loved ones, heads and actions up to feed off of the negativity. They create archons, the Gnostics call them, and I believe elites use them in ley line areas to open portals and manipulate the mass public to keep us all in a struggling, anxious state. Very soon after this, my life fell apart. Long story, but I believe for the vibrational change in energy I received from the book, I was unprepared and did not pay my dues. It took what it wanted, everything from me, ruined my life, spirit, and mind for many years. I'm sober now, but I still see the shadow, as do others. It still F's with me. Plus, it plays games. I've had it shake a prison cell, me and the other guy, to shut me the F up other times as well. Let me know if I can add to this, because chapter 2 is my addiction crap. This was just the tip of the iceberg. P.S. The Evil Dead movies also spun off the book, but don't be fooled. It's a doorway. Crowley used it to summon the first Grey in modern times. Cairo, 1914, the entity wrote the Book of the Law through Crowley. When Crowley died with the portal still open, he died in 46. The UFO flap really started in 47. The Germans knew it and jumped on board. Also, I think CERN plays a big part in controlling these energy areas and portals. Hit me back. I could go all night. Save this time. So I hope you guys got the general gist of that, because what he was saying was actually very serious. Normally I just open up and read, and it takes me a lot of takes sometimes. When people get excited, like Chucky Chuck did, they kind of type really fast. I do it all the time. If you're ever in live streams with me, you'll see. So I'm going to go through this with Chucky Chuck, with you, and we're going to kind of condense it down, and I'm going to put it in another encounter story to make it a little bit more easy to understand. But I'm keeping it in here because playing with the Book of the Dead it's not playing. Chucky Chuck, thank you so much for sharing that with us. You and I are going to get together, kind of go through it, and you're going to give me more details so I can better explain what it is you're trying to say here. So thank you. Yay! I did save it. I'm going to archive it now and star it so that I can get to it very easily. I have to find the first one. That'll be in the next one, most likely. Hit me up. Thank you so much again. So our next encounter comes from our very own Jason Zorn, and even though I'm giving him his own video, I thought listener encounters would not be complete without a story from him, and plus I have so many here, so I'm just randomly picking one, and this one's called A Ouija Board Tale. You know, most people will dismiss Ouija boards as just child's play, just a little innocent game for them to fawn over during the weekend to keep the little future criminals busy while the parents have a drink or two and then go to sleep or whatever. But Ouija boards are actually a very serious thing. Sure, you can make a Ouija board out of most anything. You don't have to buy one at Walmart or Toys R Us. They're not toys. Not at all. I can make one out of paper and a shot glass still dripping with Wild Turkey 101 and it'll work the same. It's the principle of finding a means to get that spirit to communicate with you. That's it. Once communication is established, then buckle your seatbelts because the ride is about to get bumpy. 1987 was a very special year to me because 1987 was a paranormal year of activity, and it leapt me really into a whole new phase of paranormal activity because of the lifestyles that I chose. One thing I declare is never involve yourself with the Ouija board, ever. I cannot be the person to tell people what to do, but I am the perfect person to tell people what they should not do. In fact, if I find a Ouija board in my house at all, I will burn it in the front yard, and the person who brought it will be absolutely wishing they never met me. Seriously. 1987, me, my girlfriend, her brother, my brother, a couple of my girlfriend's girlfriends, we were all hanging out being stupid, of course. And we found this Ouija board in the back closet of my girlfriend's mom's. Well, freaking cool! We all espoused. How much fun can this be? We wondered. The wondering didn't last long. Let me tell a secret. Demons, other spirits of the earth, just like humans, almost always think it's a game. Yeah, for those spirits and demons, it's a game too. And they're already 4 moves ahead of you on the chessboard because people stupidly talk out loud to investigators who visit their locations. And do these people not realize that these things can hear them talking just as clearly as you or I can? Stupid a little? It's like if I'm trying to talk to you about some, let's say, Kim, fictitious person. So you and me are talking about Kim, and Kim is sitting like 3 feet from us, and we act like she doesn't hear anything. What? Stupid. These things hear you when you verbally speak. They can't read your mind. Even the holy angels can't do that. Only God can. But if you speak out loud, these things can hear you. So we take this Ouija board and start playing around with it. And after a time, the piece on the board begins to move all by itself. It gives names and interestingly numbers. And soon the lamps on the house start flickering. A few seconds later, they turn off. Then the Ouija board flies out of our hands and hits the wall next to the kitchen. Everyone is just totally freaked out at this moment. And then a voice quietly says out of nowhere, "Buried here." And everybody dashes out of the house to the garage and light up cigarettes saying, "What the F, man?" We're in true Jason Zorn fashion. I absolutely love it. I've had a few experiences with the Ouija board. And again, like you said, none of them have been good. And I always wondered that too. I can't believe you even said that because nobody else has ever really like comprehended what I was trying to say, even though it's so easy. Don't you realize when you say, I'm going to use this Ouija board to contact Jim, whatever evil or anything, any kind of entity that wants some attention, whether it's evil or not, is lurking around that board or attached to that board or coming through that board or whatever that you're summoning can hear you say that you want to use the board to talk to Jim. So it's going to say it's Jim to get the attention or to gain your trust and possibly possess you. All kinds of things can happen with the Ouija board. So yeah, Jason, thank you so much for this encounter. I'm going to put one more encounter in this video that I just found. It's called A Long Ass Story. When I was much younger, I think about 8 or 9, my siblings and I lived with my aunt back home. At this point, most parents who were abroad studying did not take children with them and made arrangements for relatives to look after their kids. Both my parents were in the UK studying. My dad, a poor medical student, couldn't afford to have all 3 of us over there. I had been, even as a child, what I've come to believe is known as sensitive. For example, when we were at my aunt's, my siblings and I slept in one room. For some reason, which is too long-winded, there was a fire in the room. I woke up and heard my aunt go into the bathroom. I scrambled up and told her that the room was on fire. We woke my older cousin and she supposedly put out the fire. This happened 2 more times. The thing is, my dad had 3 kids. All 3 were in that room. He would have been devastated. The odd thing about this is everybody else was absolutely zonked out. It wasn't even a smoke-filled room that I woke up to. I just snapped awake each time. Anyway, fast forward to my original story. I've always had a sensitive bladder. When I was younger, if I told an aunt I needed the loo, they'd drop everything and either search for the nearest bushes or the nearest loo, whichever was closest. I hear that. They did this because 2 seconds after this statement, there would be a puddle. We were out one evening visiting relatives when I said the dreaded, "I want to wee." My aunt was, of course, immediately pleading for me to hold on. We were actually on the way to her friend's house, which was just around the corner. When we got there and she asked me to come out of the car and told everyone else to stay put. This is where it gets really strange. As we entered the house, all thought of using the bathroom disappeared. I was good. I told her that I didn't want to go in. I wanted nothing to do with that house. She practically ordered me into the house, reminding me that I needed to wee. I told her that I didn't want to go in. Finally, we went in. She said, "There's a loo in that room. Go use it." I will never know why she did that. I have my theories, but that's just what they are, theories. My aunt was odd, to say the very least. So really desperate again, I went dashing into this room, repeating, "Don't wee, don't wee, don't wee." Halfway across the room, I looked to my right. I was startled and was about to start apologizing because there's someone on the bed with cotton wool stuffed up her nose. I'm thinking, how can she breathe with that up her nose? Then I realized she wasn't breathing. She was dead. I was absolutely rooted to that spot. Now, back home, this was common. People are brought home and a wake is held before they are taken to be buried. Gems, I have no idea how I didn't pass out. I was that scared. Just then there was movement. Obviously, my 8 or 9-year-old heart was really strong. I don't know why I didn't have a heart attack. I know my heart really did miss a beat. It turned out, though, that it was the person designated to sit with her. I forgot to say that the body is never left alone. There is always someone with the body. My attention snapped to this man who was obviously annoyed that a small child was in the room. He started telling me off. I told him my aunt had said I could use the loo here. He looked really upset and pointed out the loo to me. This was a room situated right beside the bed. As I passed the bed, the smell hit me right in the face. It was so strong, it was overpowering. It wasn't the smell of decay. I later realized it was the smell of death. I don't know why or what happened to me in that house, but from then on I could walk into a house and smell death. Either someone recently died or is going to die. I'm never able to tell which. Most disturbing are all of the dreams I'd have. I'd wake up panicked and that smell would linger in my room for a while. That would mean someone close to me was going to die. I wouldn't know who. I could never remember that part. Sometimes I'd be sitting in my front room and that smell would waft through the room. I'd get down on my knees and start praying. It never fails. Someone would die. And I'd find myself wondering what good this thing was if I can't identify who would be affected. I find it both frightening and disconcerting. I hate it. Some people dream up lottery numbers. I dream of who's going to die and death. Thanks for listening, Gems. You don't have to use this or you can use parts. I just emailed it as I would appreciate your take on it. Very few people know that I dream of death, not exactly something you can tell people to inspire confidence in them. I remember telling someone once, I think it was my mom, I'm not sure who now, they told me to shut up about it and don't talk to people about it. I've done just that. I guess it's because back home they would have labeled me a witch or something. They'd give my whole family a wide berth. Thanks for listening. For this one, please don't use my name. I'm really wary of people knowing this about me. That was from Anonymous, and I didn't announce that in the beginning because I did use their real name. But listen, I want to know, where is back home? Because you mentioned back home once in a conversation with me before, but I wasn't sure where that was. So let me know. I do have some opinions about what's going on with you, and I would like to talk to you about it, so I will email you back the minute I get a chance. And I'm actually going to give you my number because emailing back and forth for me is hard because I can only check my emails like once a week if I get the time to do that. So, guys, thank you so much for sharing your encounters with me, for everyone who sent them in, and for everyone who took the time to listen. As I said, sometimes because I'm just reading them right off, I don't go through and edit them for content. I don't go through and edit them for grammar and spelling, and people get excited, and these aren't professional writers. So if they're a little hard to understand, kind of bear with me. I know you guys will, right? This is Listener Encounters Part 5, and I am so incredibly excited about it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Spread the love by sharing. Subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure your notification bell is turned on. so you can be notified every time I post a video. Don't forget to check out the description box for some important links. Justice for Caleb Smith, our 2-hour interview with April Arrington. As I always say, no mother should have to investigate the death of her own child, no matter what the circumstances are. Something is wrong there. Something is wrong with how that case was handled. If you haven't already, check out the live stream. We are going to be doing a podcast. I keep saying it. We're working on it, guys. We will never forget April. We will never forget Caleb, and we will never stop until we get answers and or justice. Sunday nights, fireside chat from 7 to 8 p.m. with me and Steve Stockton, Stemma, on Missing Persons and Mysteries channel. Also, Friday nights, campfire stories on Missing Persons and Mysteries from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern time, same as fireside chat on Sunday nights. And Wednesday nights are a little different now. They are on this channel right here on Gemma Jade, my channel, as Dezombified has taken a hiatus from Real Evil due to some personal things that they're dealing with. We're going to pray for them that they get through it and get back quickly so we can get back to Real Evil. But Steve and I are doing something kind of different, like a paranormal or supernatural variety show, half fireside chat, half campfire stories, and half Real Evil. A little bit of everything, guys. And I'll put the link to the first one that we did this past week in the description box. We had so much fun. It was like one of the best live streams we've ever done. Also in the description box, links for my Patreon and PayPal for financial donations to the channel. All of that is appreciated as well. Guys, thank you so much for joining me, for all of your support. I appreciate and love every single one of you. Always choose kind. Be kind to each other. It doesn't cost anything. Also, though, be kind to yourselves as well. Smile at a stranger. Always go in grace. Have your best day. Have your best night. And I will see you next time. Mwah. Bye-bye.